Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour. My name is Ethan Harvey. It's great to have you in today on a Friday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How you doing today on this Friday?
All this weekend.
Well, Pro Bowl.
The Pro Bowl. Give me a break. There's no football in that. There's a 7-on-7 flag football game. It's a joke.
Hopscotch, tag, whatever they do now. I don't know. It's been a disgrace. We'll talk about that a little bit later. By the way, I also want to add something to that last topic. Joe Flacco is also a Pro Bowler as of, I think, yesterday or today. So there we go. We're talking about Shedeur Sanders making the Pro Bowl later on in the show. We got a lot to talk about, some speculative news that's coming in the upcoming days and weeks as the new league year is slowly approaching. Super Bowl is next week. We'll talk about that Tuesday and Friday show of this upcoming week. But now, let's get into some news. So this seems to be a situation that should have happened last year, but looks like it's coming now with a new GM and now a new head coach because Kirk Cousins is expected to be released. They restructured his deal, so now they are going to probably release Kirk Cousins. It was reported by Josh Kendall of The Athletic that due to the restructuring of Kirk Cousins' deal, this does set him up to be a cap casualty, and he will most likely be released. It's just a question of when and not if. So my question to you is, do you think this is a smart move by Atlanta, letting Kirk Cousins go?
No, I don't think so. They said they might be interested in re-signing him to a cheaper contract. I'm sure he's not going to be too interested in that, the way they treated him the past 2 years. 37 years old, he signed that 4-year, $180 million deal, which was an eye-opener for us, man. Our eyes popped when we saw that. 2 years to go on it left. He started out really well. I mean, there was some exciting games. He played very well. Then he went through a stretch where he played very poorly, and they benched him for Michael Penix, who started the last 3 weeks of the season. I don't think he won a game. Maybe he won one game. They couldn't get him into the playoffs. Penix was taken number 8 overall last year's draft. He started 9 games this year. He was the starter. There really wasn't a competition for the starting job. He made it to week 9 before he tore his ACL. Then Cousins played the rest of the way, and in his 8 games, he was 5-3, 61.7% completion percentage, 1,721 yards, 10 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and 84.8 pass rating. A very credible job. They made the Falcons look much better than they looked all year, even though he really played more of a game manager role. They really highlighted Bijan Robinson, and he thrived with Cousins playing quarterback. But that wasn't good enough for Matt Ryan and Stefanski, the new leadership in Atlanta. Matt Ryan being the president of football operations and Stefanski, the new head coach. As I said, I doubt Cousins is going to be interested in returning to Atlanta for several reasons. First they hired him, gave him the big contract, brought him in. There was a lot of fanfare. His wife is from that area. His family returning to Atlanta. Everyone was happy. Then the draft came along, and about 10 minutes before they picked Penix, they called the Cousins up and say, hey, guess what? We're drafting a quarterback with our first-round pick. I'm sure Cousins was thinking maybe an offensive lineman. Maybe another wide receiver, somebody that can help me. I'm the guy that's going to be starting quarterback. He was not happy about that. And then he didn't have a chance to even compete for the job this year. They gave it to Penix. Then he came in and played well. And now they're saying goodbye to him. They don't want to pay him the rest of the money. They want to cut ties with him. But, hey, we might like to hire you back on a cheaper contract. I'd tell them to stuff it. I would say no way. And there will be a bunch of teams very interested in him, I think. Teams that are looking for stability, like Minnesota, for instance, given the way J.J. McCarthy played in his first year. Actually, it was second year, but his first year he tore his meniscus and was out for the whole year. And this year he was hurt repeatedly. And they could probably get him $15 to $20 million. He spent 6 years in Minnesota. Had a 101.2 passer rating, average passer rating over that 6 years. He played extremely well in Minnesota. A lot of tools there with the wide receivers, Jefferson, Addison, and Hawkinson. Yeah, so I'm sure the two would love to reconnect. It would be he'd be a good mentor for McCarthy. There'd be competition for McCarthy going into the season. I like that one. I think that's where he's going to wind up. The Browns may also be interested as a potential solution amid quarterback uncertainty, and it will be a low-cost option for them. The Jets, they lack a clear long-term option at this point, and Dante Moore, who they were looking at and to draft the number 2 pick, is staying in Oregon. Maybe that's why he wants to stay at Oregon. I don't want to go to the Jets. They bid for Kirk Cousins last time around, offering him 3 years and $90 million, but he went to Atlanta for that eye-popping 4 years, $180 million. So maybe the Dolphins are an outside opportunity too. But I think there's be plenty of interest in Kirk Cousins, and I don't think he's going back to Atlanta.
Well, that's interesting. I think there are two sides of this, and I think it does include, obviously, Kirk Cousins being released. But I also think it's a double whammy with Kevin Stefanski, because he now would avoid his third quarterback controversy. Baker versus Deshaun Watson. Shedeur versus Joe Flacco and Dylan Gabriel. I think Stefanski came in and said, you know what? We have a quarterback who we signed for a massive deal, give him $100 million fully guaranteed. And then you know what? We're going to play the other guy. We're going to play a guy we drafted at the 8th overall pick a few months after we signed this player. And he wanted to be released last year. And lo and behold, he wasn't. We kept him. And now, you know what? Let's just get rid of him. I'm here. I don't want to deal with another quarterback controversy. So this means that they're going to move forward with Michael Penix. I don't know if that's a great idea, but it's probably what they're going to have to deal with. We already saw how Michael Penix's injury history has come through with him into the NFL, and it reared its ugly head midway through the season. And I just feel like there is a cap on his overall ability. Even when he was out there, he's never really played that well. I think really the benefit is if you want to stick with Penix, you're fortunate to play in the worst division in football, where a solid 9-8 record, a nice Pittsburgh Steelers record, would have had you leading the division and winning the division and making it into the playoffs. So I think that's what Kevin Stefanski has gone for him. He won't be fired year one because I think if he's just average, they're going to make the playoffs and he'll be just okay. But there's also a second point to this, and that's obviously Kirk Cousins. He hits the open market. I think the best destination. I think you're missing out on this massive team. I don't think you're going to bring him back to the Minnesota Vikings, because what would that say for J.J. McCarthy? I think you put a lot of faith into J.J. McCarthy, and apparently that's the now fired GM's whole thing about how Kevin O'Connell reportedly wanted him to sit for 2025, and the GM's like, no, we got to play this guy. He's ready. And that obviously didn't play very well, so much so he is currently unemployed. But I do not think you're going to bring in Kirk Cousins back after you let him go, after he tore his Achilles after, I think it was a week 8, week 9, and bring him back for competition with JJ. I don't think that'll play very well. I also don't think it's the Jets, because the Jets have literally nothing at this point. They have Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, who doesn't want to be there. And that's it. No quarterback, no offensive line, no defensive line, no cornerbacks, no safeties. They have nothing. In fact, as of like 3 weeks ago, they didn't even have most of a staff. It was Aaron Glenn and to be determined. I think the best destination, I'm surprised you didn't even mention this, is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike McCarthy's bringing everybody from Green Bay back. I'm sure Rodgers, he was my coach, and he was my coach. Oh, I remember that coach. Maybe he'll be there, but if he's not there, they're going to need some stability, because they're not turning towards Will Howard or going to draft a rookie quarterback if supposedly the whole thing is, oh, no, we believe in this team and we believe we can win. Well, then you're going to need a stable quarterback. And I think that's why Kirk Cousins would make perfect sense there, because he is relatively stable. They have the wide receiver. They have a wide receiver, at least in DK Metcalf. They obviously have the defense. They have a good enough running game. I think Kirk Cousins would fit there perfectly. If Rodgers isn't there, this is a great plan B. I think the Browns, they believe too much in Shedeur Sanders to make some sort of move like a Kirk Cousins. But I'm fine with Atlanta moving on. I think this is simply Kevin Stefanski not wanting to put up with another quarterback controversy after he had to deal with Baker Mayfield and as well as Deshaun Watson and that whole thing that unfolded after that. And then obviously not wanting to draft Shedeur reportedly, having the owner make that decision, and then putting up with that for 9 weeks or something like that, put up with starting Joe Flacco, then moving on to Dylan Gabriel, getting backlash for that, then putting in Shedeur Sanders, and supposedly getting told you're sabotaging his chances at being a successful quarterback. Mm-hmm. I think this is just, I don't want a quarterback controversy. Let's just move on with other Michael Penix or potentially getting another quarterback.
But the Falcons said they might be interested in re-signing him.
But he's not coming back.
You think that's just BS?
I agree. No, that's just like, oh, no, we'll have him back. Of course. No. He's not a guy that bounces from practice squad to active squad.
I didn't mention the Steelers because I'm pretty sure Aaron Rodgers is coming back now. He's not going to quit.
Well, would you think, the younger Kirk Cousins or the 43-year-old Aaron Rodgers?
I think McCarthy will go for Rodgers.
That's if Rodgers wants. Again, the way they ended, I understand Rodgers could talk, the good old times.
No, they talk. Now they're all they're friends.
Sure,
and they look back nostalgically on their time together, winning a Super Bowl together.
I do not believe that for a
winning
second.
Winning a Super Bowl together.
Yeah. Brady and Belichick won a Super Bowl together. Several of them.
They still. You know what? I think that the athletic part of it and all that, they go through times when they hate one another, then they love one another, they hate one another, they love one another. Right now, McCarthy and Rodgers are having a kumbaya.
Yeah, and what happens when Rodgers is on the field and he doesn't like the play call, so he just calls his own thing on the field, which is what Mike McCarthy hated. He would give a play call, Rodgers wouldn't even listen to it, call his own play at the line of scrimmage.
Well, there'll be some of that probably. I mean, he knows what he's getting at least.
Sure.
I predict Rodgers back to the Steelers and Kirk Cousins to Minnesota. That's my prediction.
Why would you send them back there, though, if you have so much confidence in J.J. McCarthy?
You don't. You don't have a lot of confidence in J.J. McCarthy.
That would play horrible for McCarthy then. You defended into the ends of the earth this year.
You're not saying he's done. I mean, Kirk Cousins you are. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're saying there's another year. It's a competition. It's like Richardson and Jones.
Oh, that wasn't a competition.
You might as well do something like that. Why not do something like that now rather than wait another year? The Vikings could go through another year like this past year. They don't want that again. They want somebody that Kirk Cousins had a very good record with Minnesota, and his performance was excellent.
Well, now they're going to have a new GM that may make that decision. Here's the thing. I think bringing him back would be a horrible look for the Vikings in general. Because think about it, they let Kirk Cousins go and he had a level of success.
They've solved that. They fired the GM. He's the guy that's taken the fall for the decision to start McCarthy this year.
Right, and I think that bringing Kirk in just for McCarthy himself, it could have an Anthony Richardson level to it. But I thought McCarthy at the very end, he played all right. It's just the injuries that was the massive issue.
He played a little better near the end of the year. I mean, Kirk Cousins may. Now that he's had a dose of being a backup and getting paid nice money to do it and not taking a beating out there on the field, he might be okay with it. As being a mentor for McCarthy. Back
to Minnesota at 38.
And it would keep McCarthy sharp, knowing that he's one snap away from going to the bench and having Kirk Cousins come in and play. And given McCarthy's track record so far, missing his whole first year with one injury, and then missing multiple games this year with injuries, a variety of injuries.
Right.
He's an injury-prone guy. I mean, you can't count on him being out there. Who else would they get? They got to have a backup. Who will be their backup?
Mac Jones.
No, Mac Jones is going to get he's going to want a starting job somewhere.
You don't think he could beat out JJ? I do.
Okay, so
first of all,
wait a minute. I don't understand your logic now. Your logic was, don't diss McCarthy by bringing in another quarterback that could compete with him. Mac Jones would be that quarterback. You're saying that Mac Jones would beat him out.
I want to add something real quick.
Follow
They would need to trade for Mac Jones. He signed a 2-year deal with San Francisco. So if they want him, they got to trade for Mac Jones.
I see.
I'm just saying, because the level of competition, Daniel Jones on the Giants was really bad. Anthony Richardson, just in general, really bad. That was at least a relatively close in terms of way their careers panned out at the time, a close competition.
Yeah.
If you put out Kirk Cousins out there, it's not a competition. Kirk wins the moment he signs his signature at the very bottom saying, "Welcome back to Minnesota."
I think Mac Jones has earned the right to be a starter, and I think somebody will trade for him for that role, to be a starter.
Yeah, but who? The Jets?
Maybe. Maybe the Jets.
Justin Fields and Tyrod Taylor and Brady Cook to Mac Jones. Put him back in the AFC East. Jesus.
Maybe the Colts.
No. That's Daniel Jones all the way.
I think Daniel Jones he may not be ready to play. He had a very bad injury.
Maybe. I just think no. If you're going to go with a quarterback, you're going to stick with Daniel Jones. You're not going to trade for Mac.
No, he's a free agent.
You're not going to trade for Mac.
He's a free agent. He only had that 1 year, $14 million contract.
They're going to sign him back. I have no doubt in my mind that they're going to.
Really?
I think a lot of teams.
I'm not so sure about that.
That's going to be a good conversation for the offseason then. Because I think a lot of teams saw the back end right after, they went 7-1, 6-1. Those last few games, I think teams saw what maybe Daniel Jones actually is. or maybe they perceive Daniel Jones as actually being. That Steelers game, very telling. He could not hold on to the football whatsoever. Kirk Cousins to the Colts. Why do we think of that? Why not?
Why wouldn't you go with Mac Jones? He's he's somebody that is up and coming now. He looked good last year.
Kirk's better than Mac. Kirk's better than Mac.
You think so?
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know about that. He's 37 years old. I mean,
what does age have to do with it?
I mean, his performance this year, while serviceable, was more game manager than it was leading the team. It was Bijan Robinson that they featured when he was out there.
You're a massive defender of Kirk. I said Mac Jones is worse, and all of a sudden I'm wrong? Wow.
No, I'm just thinking.
I'm stunned.
If you're looking for Mac Jones could be a future. He could be the future, right?
That's what the Patriots said.
Kirk Cousins is not going to be the future at 37 years old.
I've been a Mac defender my entire life.
Having had a bad injury, the Achilles injury, you know? So
you need an offensive line.
I like Kirk Cousins, and I think he would be. I think he's good for a year or two, maybe.
Yeah.
But when you're looking long term, Mac Jones would be a better option for somebody like the Colts.
So if you were to play God for 2 seconds, you're like, okay, the best option for Kirk Cousins is, what would that team be?
Minnesota. Yeah.
I say Pittsburgh.
Look at the wide receiver core there. Aaron Rodgers was dying to go there. He wanted to go there in the worst way, and they didn't want him. They should have taken him, actually.
No.
They would have been better off with him. I think they would have been better off with Aaron Rodgers.
Well, you got to appease Justin Jefferson because I'm sure he's pissed.
He should be.
He's had a bunch of bum quarterbacks as of late, although, Sam Darnold was pretty good. All right, let's get to the next topic here because this is interesting. This was supposed to be talking about how bad the Browns coaching search is going to be because you had to write essays and questionnaires and fill out multiple choice and do these weird interviews, but they decided to go with former Baltimore Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken as their next coach, and it seems like him and Shedeur, the report was true. The Ravens were trying to draft Shedeur Sanders, and supposedly things went sour, like the report said. He didn't want to be Lamar's backup, and in the social media post, it seems like the way that they were acting, what Todd Monken said, turned out to be true. So my question to you is, overall, how would you grade this hire by the Cleveland Browns for Todd Monken?
Well, the Browns ended their month-long search by picking Monken to be their next head coach. He's the 19th Browns head coach and the 11th since 1999, meaning on the average of every 2.3 years they change coaches. So you may want to watch out. His tenure might not be that long there, given the way things have been going for the Browns. He was the Browns' offensive coordinator back in 2019, and he's 60 years old. I think this one smells a lot like the Pittsburgh hiring McCarthy. I don't think the fans are too happy about it. They were looking for one of these young guns like Grant Yadinsky from the Jags, offensive coordinator, and Rams passing game coordinator Mike, I can't even pronounce his name, Shielhaus. And so, now you get Monken. And I don't think it's that bad a hire, actually. He has 30 years of experience as an assistant in both college and the pro ranks. He was head coach for Southern Mississippi at one point. Cleveland's 8-26 since reaching the playoffs in 2023. The Browns ranked last in points scored the last two seasons, so their offense is a mess. And the quarterback on the rosters now, they have Deshaun Watson, Dylan Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders. What are they going to do with Deshaun Watson? I'm sure Deshaun Watson's thinking, I can come back and play. And maybe he can. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But he sure didn't look good out there when they had his chances before he got hurt. He inherits, one thing is good, he's inheriting an elite defense led by the Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett. And the Browns have 2 first-round picks in this year's draft. They were the only team to interview Monken. I think the fans, as I said, would have preferred a younger, more exciting pick like Yadinsky, who, as you said, pulled out, or the Rams passing game coordinator. Their GM said that the focus is on rebuilding a young offense that has talent. Well, I guess the focus has to be on the offense because the defense is already elite and the offense is horrible. Monken helped Lamar Jackson a lot, I think, win his second MVP and was the offensive coordinator for Georgia's back-to-back national championships. So the guy has a pretty good resume. He has a deep knowledge of the AFC North. I think that's important. He'll have a say in the Browns' quarterback decision on what they're going to do. He brought in to the Ravens, he brought Georgia's multiple scheme air raid and power run elements to the Ravens, melding Jackson's dual threat and Derrick Henry's downhill running with a spread out approach to using multiple tight end sets. And that worked well, but the play calling, as we pointed out many times, it's a simple formula. Run Derrick Henry at least 15 times a game, and you're generally going to win. And they'd start out the first half of games, doing that. And in the Steelers game, they started the first half with Derrick Henry running the ball. He had over 100, I think almost 120 yards in the first half of that game. And it was looking good. He hardly got the ball in the second half. They wound up losing the game. And that happened in the playoff game last year, too. They didn't use Derrick Henry. So I don't know who was making those decisions. If it was Monken, then you might have to question his strategy a little bit. And, on the defensive side now, Schwartz, he's all upset that he didn't get the head coaching job, and maybe he deserved it given the defense that he's put out on the field in his time with the Browns, but he quit. So they're going to have to go out and get a new DC. It's the second time he was passed up by the Browns. He was the Lions head coach from 2010 to 2013. I just want one more comment on the Ravens. I think he took Lamar Jackson to new heights as a passer. He said he could have done a better job in 2025, but he denied his relationship with Lamar was strained. His hard-driving coaching style didn't mesh very well with Jackson. One person said there's a shelf life to coaching Lamar Jackson. You can only coach him so long, and then this doesn't work anymore. And I believe that. He would have been the Giants' offensive coordinator if he didn't get this job. I'm sure Harbaugh's maybe a little worried now. Who's he going to get to be his OC? He's well regarded around the league. People are happy for him getting this job. The Browns have had 3 winning seasons in the past 20. I give him a B rank. They could have gone with a younger talent or with Schwartz.
Well, yeah, Schwartz screwing up the relationship with your defensive coordinator after he just did back-to-back tremendous seasons with whatever talent you're trying to put out there. Yeah, that's pretty bad. But he actually took the words right out of my mouth because I thought this is actually a pretty good hire. So I don't think fans are that upset. I think they look at, if you analyze the AFC North a little bit and look what Lamar was with Greg Roman compared to what he looked like now with Todd Monken, you could see that his passing game has definitely developed into a legitimately pretty good passer. I just think, and as we've pointed out on the show several times, there have been moments, especially in big-time games, where the play calling is weird and you don't run with the best guy possible. Or in the AFC Championship game against the Kansas City Chiefs, who had a bottom 10 running defense, you decide to pass it against their top 5 passing defense. I don't understand at all. Running backs ran it about 6 times. But we're talking about just the growth of Shedeur Sanders. I think that was reportedly one of the questions. What would you do with Shedeur and how would you have him grow as a player? I think that's where Todd Monken would probably excel as obviously the Rams passing game coordinator as well. I think that would have also helped him in the interview process of saying, well, look at what Todd Monken did with Lamar Jackson. Now, Lamar has had ups and downs, especially with some injuries and some illnesses, basically his entire career. Obviously, you have to get whatever you can out of him when he is available. But I do think that the play calling does get weird sometimes, where if you try to run and you have levels of success running, you're like, okay, well, let's go to strictly passing. And then it's like, what the hell are you doing? Let's keep running the football. But I just think we have to realize, look at what the team is. I think that's what some people don't understand. Kevin Stefanski, he's sabotaging Shedeur. You're the Cleveland Browns. Like you mentioned. 3 winning seasons in the last, 20? Yeah. The last time you actually had like 10-plus wins, besides that 1 year or 2 years with Kevin Stefanski, was back when Belichick was coaching. Like, we have to realize, you're the Cleveland Browns, the losingest franchise in this century. So please, nobody's sabotaging nobody. And besides, this roster needs a lot of work. They need another wide receiver. PFF ranked them 31st in receiving grade. They need an upgraded offensive line. They were dead last in pass block, 29th in run block. I like a lot. I like a lot about Fannin, but David Njoku's a free agent. I would try to re-sign him back as well. I like Dylan Sampson and I like Quinshon Judkins. I like both those running backs. However, they were 30th in running grade. You need to this team needs a lot of upgrades. I think it's a slightly better version offensively than the Tennessee Titans, who I called the entire season they weren't even an NFL team. And I think also pissing off your defensive coordinator, like I said, after what he's done the last couple seasons, that's not great. So you're basically having to start from scratch because I don't think that bridge could be mended anymore. This was the worst overall offensive graded team by PFF. There is so much that this team needs. So Todd Monken's going to go in. He's going to do his thing, right? He's going to try to make Shedeur a better passer because that's most likely who's going to be the starting quarterback next year. The Deshaun Watson thing, that's going to be interesting how they deal with that because he's still owed a bunch of money where you can't really get off of him without having a massive cap casualty. So it's better just to keep him and release him next year. All that being said, right, I still like this hire because if your goal is to develop a quarterback like Shedeur to make him a viable option for you, if you do believe he is your guy, well, then Todd Monken's probably the best one out there or the Rams pass game coordinator. I don't think it was Jim Schwartz. Mike McDaniel pulled out basically immediately. You had Grant Udinski. He pulled out. Jesse Minter pulled out. You had a bunch of candidates pulling out because the requirements for the requirements you put to even interview for the job, to try to get the job, were ridiculous. No team is having you write essays and have questionnaires. No, you show up, you interview well, and they think, you know what? We'll bring you in for another interview. You ace that interview? Hey, we'll hire you. We don't need to write a 15-page questionnaire about how you're going to not screw up the franchise. It's already screwed up. And I was going to come in here if nobody was signed and say, this is the Cleveland Browns, the worst run organization in the NFL. Because having this situation, you're trying to find your future head coach. Newsflash, it doesn't matter. Like you mentioned, the average Browns head coach over the last 19 coaches has lasted 2.3 years. So this is utterly ridiculous. I like the hire. I think if you're going for let's develop Shedeur, you're going to ace the test. But let's be real. The ceiling this season and the schedule isn't absolutely brutal. The ceiling is 7 wins. And if you win 7 wins, I think Todd Monken's going to be definitely one of the finalists for Coach of the Year. I do not think this team is going to make it to the Super Bowl anytime soon. I don't think this is an AFC championship team. I don't think this is a playoff contender anytime soon. It's the Cleveland Browns, the losingest franchise in the 2000s.
I think his goal will be to last more than 2.3 years, and I think the way he'll
that should
do
be
it,
his goal.
I think the way he'll do it is I think he'll give a very long, hard look at Deshaun Watson. I really do. I think he'll give him a long, hard look, and I think Watson will have every opportunity to show what he's got as long as he's healthy, if he's recovered from the injury, because Shedeur Sanders is, the most, I touted him. I said, wow, how come he hasn't been picked yet? I mean, we were following the draft night, right? Yep. We were there. We said, it's going to be the next pick. It's going to be this one. It's going to be this one. And that was only like the second or third. That was like the latter half of the second round. And he didn't go until the 5th round. Right. And it turns out that was probably about right. I mean, he look at him out there. He doesn't look like he's into it. He's like he's lackadaisical. I don't get it. I mean, and he didn't play very well, actually. He had one game. He had one game that was okay
against the Titans, and he lost.
Admittedly, he didn't have any much talent around him. Right? The wide receiver core is not very good. But
yeah, 31st
I think that
grade.
Somebody like Todd Monken, who has a lot of experience, 30 years of experience. You think he's going to throw everything with Shedeur Sanders on starting right now? I don't think so.
You think he wants to deal with Browns fans going start Shedeur? Or rather, I should say Shedeur fans, maybe not Browns
I think there's going to be a competition for the starting quarterback, and I think Deshaun Watson's going to have every chance to show that he can do it.
Well, what we've seen out there is Deshaun can barely throw a football. He's not a good quarterback anymore. This guy went from being near all-pro and an MVP
Then he won't get the job. He won't get the job then, but I think he'll get every opportunity to win it. I do. I think they'll give him a very good chance.
We haven't seen him in 2 years.
I mean, he is somebody who was a very good quarterback at one time.
And then he went over to Cleveland.
He has the athletic skills. He has the makeup of a very good quarterback, and he proved it, that he could do it. I mean, he got $230 million guaranteed.
Yep.
They're going to have to pay him that anyway. Why not give him a shot? Maybe he can be at least a good game manager. I mean, they're going to have 2 first-round picks. I'd say take 2 offensive players.
You can't game manage when you're the Cleveland Browns.
You know what they're talking about?
They
may take the best player available, and that could be a defensive player. I wouldn't do that. You don't need that.
No.
You got an elite defense, although you have to pick the right DC. You got to bring a DC in that can be at least as good as Schwartz was, and that may be tough to do. But go with the offensive players. Draft a wide receiver. Yeah. Draft an offensive lineman, right? In the first, they have the 6th pick and the 24th pick. Those are elite players there, potentially elite players. If you have the smarts to pick the right ones, then that would be better for the offense. That's what they got to do, and I'm sure Monken is going to advocate for that.
He's going to be fired within 3 years. It's going to happen. So? It's going to happen. It's the Cleveland Browns.
He's got to make it more than 2.3 years.
If Shedeur doesn't look like an all-pro, people are going to say Todd Monken is screwing something up. They're going to bring up the all-22 and say, no, you should have called this. You should have done a slant. Shedeur had all this time. You should have thrown it here. They're going to do every defense in the book because they did that with Kevin Stefanski. He wasn't sabotaging Shedeur. Maybe, just maybe, look at the team Shedeur is on. That's not Kevin Stefanski. That's the GM, Andrew Barry. Why aren't you attacking him more?
I know. I think they should.
They had. I'll say it again. I have it here. They were 32nd in pass block grade, 29th in run blocking grade, 31st in receiving grade, and they were the 32nd ranked total offensive grade. They were the worst team in the NFL based on that number. The worst graded team in the NFL. Maybe it's not the head coach. Maybe it's the GM and the fact that Jimmy Haslam openly, and I liked this at the time, openly criticized getting Deshaun Watson in there. Openly criticized that decision. Yet kept the GM. Fired the head against the Cleveland Browns. Okay, we're going to take a very quick break, 30-second break, but coming up, Robert Saleh is very confident that he could succeed as the Titans head coach. We'll talk about that, as well as Shedeur Sanders made the Pro Bowl. Exhibit Z on why the Pro Bowl now has become the biggest joke in sports. We'll talk about that right after this quick break.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey. It's great to have you in today on a Friday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic of today's show, which is Todd Monken in his intro press conference as the head coach of the Tennessee Titans had this to say, and I quote, "There is no handbook to the..." What? Robert Saleh. Excuse me, I say Robert Kraft? Todd Monken, excuse me. Robert Saleh said, quote, "There is no handbook to a first-time anything you do. There's so much to gain from any time you're in the chair as head coach, and there's so many learning experiences that I had. I could sit here and talk to you the next 4 hours about all those different things, but I can assure you there was tremendous growth through the opportunity that I had with the Jets. I'm more prepared now than I ever had been to attack this position." The Tennessee Titans, I might add, one of the worst teams in the NFL, and I said several times over the season, they were not an NFL team. Cam Ward, not great, but improved over the season. So my question to you is, what overall are your expectations for the Titans next year with Robert Saleh as the head coach?
I love this interview by Saleh. He did exactly what he should do. He talked about culture. He talked about what kind of culture, what kind of team do we want to be? And he said it and very simply. He said, this team is going to be fast and violent. And that's what it's going to be in his second stint as a head coach. He said, he feels better prepared to lead the Titans after tremendous growth during his Jets tenure, as you mentioned. He's 46 years old. He said he didn't have enough time to explain what he learned in these 3+ seasons. He said we could talk 4 hours about that. He said the best question to ask me is, what didn't I learn? I love that. I love that comment. I'm more prepared now than I've ever been to attack this position. He spent 2025 as the 49ers defensive coordinator, guiding an injury-ravaged defense to the playoffs and a win over the Eagles before being destroyed by the Seahawks, which was unfortunate. But again, I thought he definitely earned the right to be a head coach again, and I'm sure Shanahan is sorry to lose him. He said the energy in which he coaches from the sidelines will remain the same. He does jump around a little bit. He likes to cheer his players on and hug them when they come off the field if they do something great. He says fast and violent is the style of play he envisions for his players. And I love that. That's a culture. That's a a very simple theme that should resonate with every player. So we're going to play with speed. We're going to play confident. We're going to have some swag, and we're going to talk a little shit. He said, I want to show who they are, play in, play out. You will notice the speed we play with and the violence at which we do it. That was a great interview. He's focusing on the right things. Big picture, he's the head coach. Speed and violence. That's what it's going to be, Nate. Speed and violence.
Speed and violence. The only thing is, how violent can you be when you're the worst team in the NFL? I think that's the big question.
It's a low bar. I mean, that's great. It's a low
called
bar.
rock
You
bottom.
can't be. It's rock bottom. Anything it does is going to be better than what they were last year. That's for sure.
You would expect that, but you do realize you have an owner who quit on one of the best culture builders in the NFL, who had 4 out of 6 winning seasons, made it to the AFC Championship game, and at one point was the number 1 seed in the AFC.
And taking his team, his
Might
first
I add,
team to the Super
that
Bowl.
exact
this year.
coach is about, 60 minutes away from hoisting a Lombardi trophy. Exactly. That's who this owner of the Titans, Strunk, gave up on. And now you're moving to what I said when we talked about the hire of Robert Saleh. This is supposed to be redemption. Mike Vrabel 2.0. That's what this hire is. Look, I love Robert Saleh as a coach. We've said several times, and I've said several times on this show that I thought that it was absurd that Woody Johnson would get a little butthurt, that in his own home country, he got embarrassed by the Minnesota Vikings after Rodgers played extremely poorly in that Week 5 game, like I said, against the Minnesota Vikings. But let's be honest here. What is Robert Saleh expected to do? You say rock bottom. So just if you do a little bit better than 3-14, you're okay. Robert Saleh is not seeing to the end of his contract. He signed a 5-year deal. He's not seeing to the end of 5 years. Unless, all of a sudden, there's more leeway. I mean, I really think that the Jets and the perception we have had of the Jets this season could be what the Titans are this upcoming season. Because, my God, this roster is terrible. You look anywhere. Seriously, throw a dart, and if you hit Jeffrey Simmons, congratulations. You struck gold. Because you look at this roster. Where is there a level of success and a level of consistency? So much so, they signed one of the worst cornerbacks. The Cowboys let him go in Elam. Let him go. He was one of the worst defensive backs in the NFL last year. You know who picked him up? Tennessee Titans. L'Jarius Sneed. They stole him from the Chiefs. He got hurt and did nothing, basically, his entire tenure there so far. You know what? Don't worry about anything. We got Calvin Ridley. Even when he played, he wasn't that good, and he was on IR this season. You look around this roster, the running game. Tony Pollard had another 1,000-yard season. You couldn't tell. The running game was terrible. Cam Ward, turnover prone consistently. Wasn't that great. PFF graded the overall offense as 29th. Passing grade, 29th. Receiving grade, 27th. Rushing grade, 28th. Pass coverage on defense, 26th. They were the 30th ranked scoring defense. Seriously, try to find a gap of success. Try to find an avenue, the light at the end of the tunnel, a silver lining for this team. Well, I have one, and it depends on what, A, your goals, and B, your expectations are. If your goals and expectations are, we had the number 1 overall pick last year and we drafted Cam Ward, let's develop him, Cleveland Browns-esque, well, I think that is your silver lining because of your OC, Brian Daboll, who, yes, the Giants' fourth quarter deficits in the defense were abysmal. But look a little deeper. Because while Russell Wilson was absolutely an abomination, which he has been over the last couple seasons, we do realize Brian Daboll and Jackson Dart led a top 10 offense. I know it's hard to believe. Jackson Dart, I believe, had the 8th, when they were together, Brian Daboll and Jackson Dart. The Giants had the 8th best total offense and 10th best scoring offense. I couldn't believe it myself, but those were the numbers when those two were paired up with one another. Brian Daboll, he's had a lot of quarterback success, and look at the quarterbacks he's coached, and especially in the NFL. He made Josh Allen, or he started Josh Allen refining his game to what he ultimately became with the extension of Ken Dorsey into Joe Brady, but Brian Daboll was right there leading him on. Well, what about this, though? Like I said, Jackson, our top 10 offense. I couldn't believe it myself. So if your goals and expectations are, let's just develop our number 1 overall pick quarterback, then that's fine. But you may go 3-14 again. But if you're just developing Cam Ward and you don't care about anything else, well, there you go. The offensive line is a mess. Again, Peter Skoronski, I thought he'd be a great offensive lineman. He's not really that good. J.C. Latham, it hasn't been that great. You had Kevin Zeiler, who did next to nothing this year. Defense, Jeffrey Simmons is the only guy that you have. You look around that team, there is no talent whatsoever. You're going to need to hit on this draft. And if you do, then you have a shot at going, 5 wins?
Mm-hmm.
If you just have an average offseason, you have a lot of cap space.
Okay.
A lot of cap space.
That's what I was going to say.
But who's available? You're going to go out and get Mike Evans? Was he 35 years old, 34 years old, Mike Evans? He's not going to do. First of all, he's not going to want to go to the Titans.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Patriots managed to go out and they spent $350 million on contracts. Look what it did for them.
Well, they're at least a respected franchise. Yeah, it gets a little cold, and people don't want to play in the cold. And Mac Jones and Belichick.
The Titans,
that's Mike Vrabel.
The Titans have had some good seasons. I mean, they were a long time ago.
With
but
Mike Vrabel.
I don't think they're.
Mike Vrabel ain't there anymore.
A franchise that should be disrespected.
Of course they should.
I mean, they made a mistake by letting Vrabel go. That's
where their success was.
That's a huge mistake for sure. They had Derrick Henry. They let him go. And, they beat the Patriots at Foxborough in 2019 in a playoff game. That was not so easy. But what they need to do is spend that cap space. Go get some free agents. Trade for some players. Maybe they should, you give Cam Ward such a hard time, but he played better near the end of the season.
He couldn't stop turning the ball over the first 11 games.
He played better. They need to get a good quarterbacks coach for him. That would be something they should look to do. But I think they should stick with him. I think they should stick with him. He learned a lot this year. He played a lot better down the stretch. And their defense, they do have the one guy who is
Jeffrey Simmons.
Yeah, who's very good. And you look what the Panthers did with their defense. They had the worst defense in the league last year.
Historically, this year
they did much better. So they need a good DC. And Saleh is a defensive coach, and look what he did for the Jets. The Jets defense was very good under Saleh. It was a top 5 defense.
Well, first of all, the Panthers have guys. The Titans don't have guys.
Yeah, but they can get some. They can go
Who's
get
available?
Some. You know what? Maybe there's some 49er players that on that defense that were stand-in players for some, like Bosa and Warner. So maybe those guys. There's going to be some free agents. You can recruit some of those guys. You wait and see. I bet he will do. I bet he'll bring some of the 49ers defensive players in.
You just said okay. That's like saying, would I rather play with Tom Brady or like Mitch Trubisky? Why would you leave the 49ers to go play to the Tennessee Titan? Money. Yeah, that's what Calvin Ridley did. That's what Calvin Ridley did. You think he's regretting his decision? Absolutely.
Probably not. He's got his money. Well,
I can tell you right now, Myles Garrett is regretting his decision. He complains about it constantly at the lack of success. And you know what? I have zero sympathy. You signed $40 million a year to play for the bum Cleveland Browns, the losingest franchise in the 21st century.
He showed that it was all about money with him, right?
Yeah.
He bitched and moaned about it, and he complained and said he was going to walk, wouldn't report, all that. They threw a lot of money at him. He never heard another word. He did wind up getting the sack record this year.
He did. It took him like 6 weeks to get it, but he did. He ultimately did. No, I mean, again, think about it. Yeah, you're right. They have had some recent success, but it's with Mike Vrabel, who's currently head coaching the Super Bowl right now. With Callahan twice, and he got fired, I think, midway through the year. They went 3-14 both seasons. 6-28 since Mike Vrabel left. Since they got fired. By the way, after really, again, the roster sucked. But he went 6-11 with the bum Tennessee Titans. And he led the Titans to their best record since 2008 when they went 12-5. So this is not Mike Vrabel. This is Robert Saleh.
Robert Saleh will have a decent defense next year for the Tennessee Titans.
Can't get much worse.
It'll be much better than what it was last year. And in fact, the Titans defense played okay in some games. They fell apart at the end. And halfway through the season, they weren't so bad. But then they did fall apart. But that won't happen under him. He's a great defensive coach.
He's going to call plays, by the way.
He's going to call defensive plays.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think the Titans will be better, and I think that he will get them on the right track.
We went through this before. I think you said they could win 5 games. I think we went through the schedule.
Well, that's 2 more than they won last year.
They
This
should have went
past year.
2-15 if it was for that Cardinals debacle.
I mean, they won 3 games, right, this year?
3-14.
So if they win 5, that's a 40% improvement. That's pretty good, right?
If you were a 27-year-old head coach, I'd agree with you. If you're a Robert Saleh,
Actually, that's a 66% improvement. 2 over 3. Yeah, it's 2 more. That's a 66% improvement.
Look, he might be more prepared now, but he may have just demoted himself, going from the Jets, who are a terrible franchise, to the Titans, who are the worst franchise right now.
As I said, the bar is set low. Whatever he does to improve it, he'll look good.
Amy Adams strong.
If he finds a way to win, as you say, if he can win 7 games, he'll be the coach of the year.
That would be historic.
Let's look at their schedule once more again. Let's look at that again. We got 5 wins out of it last time. Let's see if we can get 2 more somehow.
He does play the Jets, which is interesting.
Well, he's going to beat them.
You would think so.
Oh, yeah. The team will be fired up for that one. They'll be speedy and violent in that game.
Yeah, speed and violence. Okay, so home games. Let's go through it. Houston,
No.
Indy.
Wait, go slow.
Houston,
No,
Indy,
probably not.
Jacksonville,
No.
Cleveland,
Yes.
the New York Jets,
Yes.
the Philadelphia Eagles,
Probably not.
the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yes.
Wow. Washington Commanders.
I'm saying if we're going to get to 7, I'll say yes on that one.
Just for the sake of getting 7
Yeah.
at that point, have them sweep the division. Houston, Indy, Jacksonville. These are now away games.
I don't think he's going to. Well, maybe get 1 win out of those 3, okay? It's you won't go 0-6 against your division team.
So we'll throw it out there.
They'll throw one of them. I don't know which one it's going to be. 1 out of those. So now I'm at 5 games. 5 games, okay?
There's no shot. Baltimore.
No.
Cincy.
Probably not. It depends on whether Joe Burrow's in there. If he's in there, no.
Oh, Lord. If you play him in the first 2 weeks, you have a shot because Joe Burrow never does well to start the year. Dallas.
Probably not.
Detroit.
No.
Las Vegas.
Yes.
And there's your 7th win, the New York Giants.
Yeah. 7 wins.
There are 2 revenge games here. Brian Daboll against the Giants in MetLife, and then Robert Saleh, the Jets, in Tennessee.
I mean, bringing Brian Daboll in as the OC is, I'd say, pretty good, right? Look what he did for Jackson Dart. He could maybe do that for Cam Ward. Huh? Look what he did for Josh Allen. Some coaches are better at the offensive, defensive coordinator positions than they are as a head coach. Brian Daboll seems to be one of those. And you don't think he wants to be a head coach again someday? He's going to do his best there. And, again, the bar is set low. Whatever they can do to improve, they can get to 7 wins. Hey, Brian Daboll will be a head coach again next year, the year after.
I think he needs to wait a little bit longer for that. All right, let's get to our final topic of today's show. The shock in the nation, maybe. Actually, based on the fan vote, no, because he was the 4th highest AFC quarterback amongst the fan vote. But it is indeed. Shedeur Sanders is making this it's not even called the Pro Bowl. It's called the Pro Bowl games now because there's no Pro Bowl game anymore. It's tag, flag football, duck, goose. It's a complete disgrace at this point. The Pro Bowl has become a joke. But yeah, Shedeur does make it. He was actually in the top 10 of quarterback votes amongst the fan vote, which was shocking, I think. But it is kind of a popularity contest, but it is official. After about 15 people turned it down, Shedeur Sanders does become a Pro Bowler. So my question to you is, overall, what's your reaction for Shedeur making the 2026 Pro Bowl games?
Shedeur Sanders picked for the Pro Bowl? I couldn't believe it. You got to be blowing smoke. It's just further evidence that the Pro Bowl has become a total joke. And I say that, my little rhyme there, it is. It's a total joke. He's picked to replace Drake May, who's playing in the Super Bowl, so you can see why he wouldn't want to be playing flag football. He had a 3-4 record in 7 starts, 1,400 yards passing, 7 TDs, 10 interceptions, a QBR of 18.9. All right. His passer rating was 68.1. He was 120 of 212 for 56.6% completion percentage. He had 169 rushing yards and 1 TD. His QBR is one of the lowest for a quarterback with at least 6 starts since the metric was introduced. So you can't get much worse than that. He was number 31, in fact, in terms of QBR. He was not in the top 10. You say he was in the top 10 in the fan voting?
Yeah.
I saw that he wasn't in the top 10, but maybe that was a misquote.
Maybe it was top 10 most quarterbacks.
The complex process of replacements meant that his name came up as other options were exhausted. Well, they are exhausted because there's other players either hurt or they didn't want to be in what is a joke game. He ranked, as I said, 31st among quarterbacks this year. Why not pick Geno? Huh? If you're going to pick him, why not pick Geno? Give Geno a few bucks to come down there. I'm sure he would have done that. Or Tua. You could pick him too. I mean, he played more games, and he was ranked higher. Both Geno and Tua were ranked higher than Shedeur Sanders. How come they didn't ask them? I don't understand I guess it's the voting, I guess, too. That Sanders must have had more votes from them, but I don't think he had them from the coaches and the players. So they picked him, I think, for his brand name. It's the Sanders name. That's why he got picked. He's the first fifth-round pick ever to make the Pro Bowl. Never happened before. The main event is the 7-on-7 flag football game. I understand they're going to be wearing dresses. Play that. They're going to be wearing evening gowns to play that game. That's what kind of game it's going to be. Other competition is designed for speed, agility, and accuracy skills, including dodgeball. That'll be fun to watch. Tug of war. That's supposed to be for strength. Punt perfect for accuracy. The great football race, some sort of weird relay. The passing the test for accuracy. Satisfying catches for creativity. The big spike, that's creativity. And helmet harmony, that's for knowledge. It'll be interesting to see how smart these guys are. And Sanders said, "Thank you, God. I'm beyond excited and extremely grateful for the love and the support from the coaches, players, and fans." I think it was mostly from the fans. "This wouldn't be possible without the support behind me. Still plenty of work to do." I'm glad he put that in there because I agree with that 100%. He's the first Browns quarterback to be selected to the Pro Bowl since Derek Anderson in 2007. He's the first Browns rookie to win his first start since Eric Zaire in 1995. He had the most passing yards by a rookie quarterback in a 2025 game. He went in Week 14 against your team, the Titans, 23 of 42 for 364 and a touchdown. Dion, his father, made 8 Pro Bowls in his 14-year career, but he wasn't selected until his third year. So his son has got him on that one. It's not unprecedented, though, Sanders' pick. Tyler Huntley made the Pro Bowl back in 2022, only playing 6 games, starting only 4 of them, passing for 658 yards, 2 TDs, and 3 interceptions. So I guess you could say Sanders was better than that. The Pro Bowl selections are based in equal parts on fan, coach, and player voting. May, Allen, and Herbert were initially selected. Sanders was not among the first 4 alternates were Nix, Mahomes, Daniel Jones, who were all hurt. It's possible that Lawrence, Stroud, Jackson, Rodgers, Burrow, and Ward turned down the nod to play. I doubt Cam Ward turned it down. I bet they didn't even call him. And maybe he didn't get any votes at all. I don't know. But I think he would have been a better choice than Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah. As if there didn't need to be another reason why the Pro Bowl has become an absolute utter joke. No disrespect. He did what he could on the worst franchise in the 21st century. However, this just proves how the Pro Bowl has become an absolute disgrace. A quarterback who had a losing record, had barely above a 56% completion percentage, 175 passing yards per game, had more turnovers than touchdowns, and had a passer rating of 68.1, and had a QBR scale of 0 to 100 of 18.9. Scale of 0 to 100. And made the Pro Bowl. Here's why and by the way, as I'm going to say in a couple seconds here, I have not switched my take on this. I am not altering the take. I'm not being harsh. The Pro Bowl needs some adjusting. Whether it be, bring back the game or get rid of it entirely. Because here's the big thing for me, and I've said this about several quarterbacks, and in an argument for a particular quarterback who, once again, I'm 2 for 2 so far, has not made the Hall of Fame yet, part of my argument is half of the Pro Bowls were replacements. I think that because the Pro Bowl is a consideration for when we're looking at a player's career, and we're like, okay, they made X amount of Pro Bowls, X amount of All-Pros, they were X in the voting for MVP or Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, whatever the case may be, Pro Bowl is considered for your Hall of Fame credibility and your accolades for your career. He joins a cast of Mac Jones, Tyler Huntley, Gardner Minshew, Russell Wilson as a injured backup to Justin Fields, then became the starter and bombed the last 5 games of the season, and a rookie Drake May, and now Joe Flacco as replacement Pro Bowlers since 2021 or 2022 rather. I think that there has to be some difference between replacement and actually getting in the top 6. 3 AFC, 3 NFC for when you're in the Pro Bowl. Whether that be it does not count, but you're able to go and play, and it doesn't go on your career accolades, so be it. But I think that just because you're a replacement, it gets to be, you get a consideration. It goes on your list of career accolades. Like Mac Jones is a Pro Bowler. Drake May is now a 2-time Pro Bowler. Did he deserve it in his rookie year? I don't think so. Did Russell Wilson deserve it in 2025 when he played for the Steelers? No, I don't think so. I said for an argument, Eli, by the way, was replacement in 2 Pro Bowls. So you look at his thing and say, oh, Eli Manning, a 4-time Pro Bowler. In my mind, I'm like, no, Eli is a 2-time Pro Bowler because he made it as a replacement. Russell Wilson, I think half of his Pro Bowls he was a replacement for. So it goes from his, 10 or 11 Pro Bowls, cut it in half. I don't think Snoop Huntley is a Pro Bowler. I don't think Gardner Minshew is a Pro Bowler. Go down the list. I do not care. I think it's you do not get it put on your board of career accolades, so there's no distinction that you made the Pro Bowl at all because you're not part of the top 6. 3 in the AFC, 3 in the NFC, so you can say top 3. That's one way you could do it. You get to go, but it does not get put anywhere. But you get to show up and you get to play in Duck, Duck, Goose. Have fun. Or the second thing, Pro Bowl is no longer a consideration for Hall of Fame, or when you look back on a career, you say this player made X amount of Pro Bowls, which is the more extreme version of it. Because if this is what we're saying, Mac Jones is a Pro Bowler. He is 2 away from tying Matt Stafford for Pro Bowls. Shedeur Sanders is 2 away from tying Matt Stafford in Pro Bowls. Those 2 players aren't within 1,000 yards of Matt Stafford for their careers, nor will they ever be. That's a bit of an extreme prediction for Shedeur, but I have a funny feeling playing for the Cleveland Browns, you're not going to go very far. Because at least the Lions made the playoffs a couple times. I don't see the Browns making the playoffs anytime soon. So it's either you get to go, sure, but it doesn't go anywhere.
Well, how about an asterisk?
Sure, put an asterisk.
Yeah.
But when we look back and we say, okay, Shedeur Sanders, Pro Bowler. It doesn't sit right. Gardner Minshew, Pro Bowler.
No, I
Mac
think
Jones, Pro Bowler.
Replacement Pro Bowler.
Snoop Huntley, Pro Bowler.
Or just call him replacement player. You don't even call him a Pro Bowler.
I think ultimately
replacement flag football player.
I think the way it should be is
replacement dodgeball player.
Exactly. Yeah. Sub it.
Dodgeball. He subbed in on dodgeball.
Yeah. But I think in reality, because the Pro Bowl is considered, you have to have the 6 quarterbacks, and that's it. End of story. Those are the that is the Pro Bowl roster. Anybody who shows up, cool, you showed up. But it should not be, okay, Drake May was technically a Pro Bowler, but he got subbed out because now Shedeur is in. Joe Flacco is now another Pro Bowl. No, I think that's ridiculous. I did this for Eli Manning. I said this for Russell Wilson. So for me, this is not any different. Mac Jones is a Pro Bowler. So guess what? Mac Jones is 2 away from Matt Stafford.
I would say the Pro Bowl in football is a joke, and the players, well, when I was young, they played hard in the Pro Bowl. It was a very tough game, and the person who got the MVP in the Pro Bowl, it was quite an accolade. And the games were pretty good, and then they just stopped playing. They just decided they weren't. There's
the famous Sean Taylor hit against the kicker.
They didn't want to.
He just obliterated him.
They didn't want to play. They didn't want to get hurt. They didn't want to. So they just went out there and made a joke out of it. It was really it was embarrassing to watch. when they did have the game. So at least they stopped doing that. I think they should just eliminate it. I think they should pick people who get a Pro Bowl designation, right? Then you don't have this issue with Gardner Minshew being a Pro Bowler or Shedeur Sanders this year being a Pro Bowler. You get picked because you had a fantastic season. And then maybe at the Super Bowl, they invite them all there and they just announce them, and they're on the field and they can wave to the crowd. And that's the biggest crowd that watches football, any game in any year or any time during the year. Everybody's watching. You get your recognition there, and that's it. I think they should do something like that.
Well, then it would kind of just be like the NFL honors, though. Because the NFL honors, you announce the MVP, the Offensive Player of the Year, the Defensive Player of the Year, the Rookie of the Year. To me, maybe not at the Super Bowl, because, again, you wouldn't have the Pro Bowl games at all. You wouldn't have them playing duck goose in the quarterback competition.
I'm not going to watch it.
Nobody watches it.
I'm not going to watch it.
I'm curious to see what the ratings
are
on
on TV. They're watching, them coach them playing flag football, 7-on-7. Why bother? I'm not going to watch that.
I think
it's just a waste. I think it's demeaning of the NFL. I don't think it's worth watching. I mean, they want to promote flag football. I think the violence.
Then have like the up and coming, the Rising Stars Challenge. You get the best flag football players across America play flag football. I guarantee you, people love college football. That would get ratings.
Maybe.
You're telling me the Rising, and guess what? How about this? Have every Pro Bowler get a kid representative to be their pick on the Pro Bowl. Have the Rising Stars Challenge, East versus West. So for instance, if Shedeur Sanders makes the Pro Bowl, he gets to pick a QB. Justin Jefferson gets to pick a wide receiver for whatever conference or whatever. The AFC, NFC, not East-West, because that's NBA, obviously.
I mean,
that's a good one.
Because of all the head injuries and the pro football and all the serious injuries that they've had,
that's a good
people
idea.
are shying away from the violence of football. And the way they're trying to promote it and get more people interested is through flag football, and they want women involved. If women have a flag football league,
yeah, good for them.
So that's to get more people to watch the NFL games. They're promoting football through flag football, so that's one reason they're having this flag football game. Maybe all these people who play flag football will be watching that game. I don't know, but that I think that's the way they're going. They're trying to dial down the violence. For this, showcase the players in this dialed down violence so that they'll try to enlist people who maybe don't normally watch the NFL games or don't know that much about football but have an interest in playing flag football. I don't know. I guess that maybe has something to do with it. I can't really figure it out.
But what do you think of my idea, though? The Rising Stars Challenge. Each Pro Bowler at each position picks somebody to be basically their player. So Jeffrey Simmons picks a defensive end that would play flag football. It'd be a rising star.
This would be people that nobody even never heard of.
Who cares? Who cares?
I guess it wouldn't be any worse.
Social media would be on fire with that.
It wouldn't be any worse. It wouldn't be any worse than what they're going to do. It'd probably be better.
People love college football.
Maybe it could be better.
The best high school players across the nation. You pick a guy out of nowhere. And all of a sudden, he's mossing people and doing Odell Beckham Jr. in the end zone flag football. I like that idea. That's rising stars. Because there's no rising. There's a rising star in the NBA. Why can't there be a rising star in the NFL?
Okay.
Because that's college.
Maybe somebody will listen. If that idea comes up and they do it, then we want royalties for coming up with the idea.
I mean, I don't know what people think out there. If anyone wants to comment on that idea, go right ahead. The Rising Stars Challenge, because there is no up-and-coming prospect unless you see it through other social media or through college. At this point, you can see a guy from high school, all of a sudden, he's throwing 56-yard passes to another random kid at another high school.
Well, I personally will be missing that there's no real game this weekend.
Well, you can watch them play Duck Duck Goose. Play tag.
I'm going to do that.
Rising Stars Challenge. I like that idea. All right, that does wrap up today's show. Next week is Super Bowl week. Strap in. Tuesday, we're going to break down some of the key matchups here. And then Friday, we make our picks. Patriots, Seahawks, another version, round 2, I would say, of Super Bowl 49. We'll see if the Seahawks could tie it up for another 11 Super Bowls down the line. Maybe we'll have the rubber match again. Maybe Drake May and Sam Darnold will still be the quarterbacks at that time. Probably not, though. But for this episode of the Harvey Hour, my name's Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We have been your co-hosts of the Harvey Hour. You can catch us Tuesday around 6:30 p.m. Eastern right here on YouTube.
Night, Grandpa.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN,